Hi, I'm Lauren McCracken, and you're watching my podcast, Cracken's Corner. This is episode 10, True Love and Sacrifice. So, as a note, before we get started, I'd like to really thank everyone who's reached out to me and my family over the past week and a half. It's been a really rough time for us. Unfortunately, we lost my nanny, my mother's mother, and it's been really hard trying to come to terms with that and accept all the emotions that inevitably come with the loss of someone you love that much. It really meant a lot to me to see so many people come out to her service and be a witness to the life that she led and how loved she was and support us during this really hard time. I appreciate all the thoughts and prayers and good vibes that came our way because they have helped us a lot. And please keep praying and keep thinking of us because it doesn't end after like all the official stuff is done. You know, mourning it can be a very long process. Because of her, and really because of the life that she led, I was really thinking this week for my topic, I wanted to talk about true love. Because she's someone who had a lot of experience with that in her life. So I found a really good quote about it. Love is spiritual. It's about self-sacrifice and commitment and discipline. You cannot have true love without discipline and respect. When you lose the respect of your spouse, you've lost everything. So that was by Candace Bushnell, who I believe was the author of the original book series that the whole show Sex and the City was based off of. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I believe my mother-in-law recently saw a show, like a one-woman show put on by this woman, who apparently was really good. So this quote really specifically talks about the nature of what it really means to love someone. It doesn't shy away from a challenge. Instead, we're called to better ourselves for the sake of the one that we love. I feel, in a way, that love is generally portrayed across various forms of media, particularly in the romantic realm, but also sometimes platonically. In those portrayals, you almost never see it focus on the necessity of sacrifice and being of service to the people that you truly care about. Instead, we often see kind of the cheap stories about attraction and lust and keeping the focus all about us and what we can get out of it instead of what we can put into it and like the mutual reciprocity that has to be across both ways. We as people deserve so much more than this basic surface level kind of stuff that we can catch on any TV show anywhere. It's sad to me that many people will kind of fall into these traps and settle for someone who doesn't really treat them that well and doesn't truly appreciate them, and likewise who we don't feel that level of fondness for, because who is that really helping? What's the point of that? So obviously, I do think that as difficult as it is, we should be willing to give a lot more than we would normally to someone we truly love. That's part of what it means to actually love someone instead of just liking them or tolerating them. It's a call to be a bit extraordinary and to even surprise yourself with what you're willing to do to help another person. So I had this song in mind that I can talk about a little bit and speak on the lyrics of, though once again, I'd absolutely recommend you check this out on your own time and really fully appreciate the experience that it gives you. It's Stand Inside Your Love by the Smashing Pumpkins. It's literally like one of my favorite songs of all time. I first heard it when I was like 17 years old, and I was enamored with it ever since. It was like, once I finally heard that song, my mind was blown, and I was like, this is something that can actually describe the level of intensity that I have within myself and within my heart, and all the devotion that I feel and that I wanted to have reciprocated back to me in a loving romantic relationship. So that was always the thing I would come back to when I was considering who I was going to date or thinking about my relationship that I actually had with someone. And I would think, like, does this person make me feel this way? Do they bring this to the table? Do I bring this to the table for them? Because if the answer is no in either direction, it's not worth my time and it's not what I really want. So I shouldn't continue it. I shouldn't waste either of our times. So aesthetically, the music video is incredible. It's like an A+ for the tragic, dramatic kind of gothic vibe that they were putting out there into the world, which was amazing. Definitely recommend watching it. But even if you just listen to the song, it's still incredible. So a couple of the lyrics, a little section of that I can share. But for the last time, you're everything that I want and asked for. You're all that I dreamed. Who wouldn't be the one you love? Who wouldn't stand inside your love? Protected and the lover of a pure soul, and beautiful you. Don't understand, don't feel me now. I will breathe for the both of us. Travel the world, traverse the skies. Your home is here within my heart. That feeling that Billy Corgan so beautifully describes is a love that's transcendent. It continues to exist even after the one that we love has passed away. It's this indescribable beauty within the soul of the other, and it fully appreciates and respects that person for everything that they are. It speaks to a total consecration of one's heart to living in a way to honor and adore their partner. And yeah, that once I heard that pretty quickly became the measure of my feelings for anyone that I had any kind of attraction to, or I ever dated or considered dating or thought about having a romantic relationship with. And if that's not how I was in my soul, if they didn't inspire that level of like wanting to do everything in my power to make everything as good as possible for this other person, or I didn't believe that they felt anything close to that for me, then I just wouldn't pursue it because it's not what I really wanted. And I think I realized that pretty young. So I've always taken dating pretty seriously, even as like an older teen, which is maybe strange, but ultimately it led me down the path to finding the person that was meant for me. And I'm really grateful for that. So I have a couple examples of true love, and I feel really blessed in my life to have had both of these available to me. So the first being of my father's parents, my grandmom and grandfather. There's a story that my grandmom liked to tell us. I think she shared it years ago about the circumstances leading up to her and my grandfather getting engaged. So my grandfather worked his butt off. He was a blue-collar guy. He was a carpenter. And he didn't have a lot of money at the time. But he was so in love with her. He was like trying to figure out what to do because he wanted to get engaged and buy her an engagement ring. But they're a lot of money. So he had this boat that he really enjoyed going out on. And anyone who got a chance to spend some time with him knew that he was really big on being out on the water and going fishing. And he was just really into that kind of a thing. And despite all that, he sold his boat so he could buy my grandmom her engagement ring. And he would tell her whenever he looked at the diamond and her little engagement ring, he didn't see a diamond or a ring. He saw his boat because that's what he gave up so he could have that beautiful relationship with her. And unfortunately, while he didn't live as long as we all would have liked, he did get to see his beautiful 4 children come into this world, and they grew up and they had children, and now he has 7 grandchildren, and he even has a great-granddaughter. And none of that would have been possible if he wasn't willing to make that sacrifice. And I'm just so grateful that he did. And he gave my grandmom so much love. I'm really happy that they found each other. And another beautiful model for that kind of real, true love was with my mom's parents, my nanny and my pop-pop. My nanny, who just recently passed. This was the last thing that she gave me. It was one of her many elephant items. She was super into elephants. She always loved them. They were her favorite animal. And I think I love them too now. She really helped me learn to appreciate that. So when I think about their marriage and their lives together, they were married for almost 63 years. That's incredible. That's something you just don't hear about very often. And when I look back on their old photos together, it's so obvious from the start how in love they were and how crazy they were about each other. It was really cute. My nanny was a very confident woman, which I totally admire. And she saw my grandfather going to visit his sister who lived in her neighborhood one day, and she was sitting out on her porch and she thought he was cute. So she put on some little romantic records and was sitting out there, and she would watch him walk by and she would smile at him and try to like kind of charm him. And, you know, she kind of made the first move in that way because she was pretty bold, and it worked out. They ended up going out on dates and they got married, and they had 4 daughters together. And they had 4 grandkids and even a great-grandkid they got to meet. I'm really glad they got to meet little Harper. So that was really cool. So at least for me, watching them grow up, I've mostly known them as senior citizens. And I watched them care for each other every single day. Nanny was always worried about Pop-Pop's health and well-being, even though she had a whole bunch of different health issues and medical conditions to deal with on her own. He was always at her side, especially through like the last 10 years of her life, as things got a lot more difficult, and he would do anything for her. No task was above him to help her feel better. He would do anything to help her maintain her dignity, to feel less pain, to know that she was cared for in his own unique way. The continuous acts of service and sacrifice that he laid out as an example for all of us has really not only benefited her, but it's benefited everyone that's ever met them, because it's a true example of what love is. It's beyond the young and beautiful and enamored with each other phase. It's when you have to wake up in the middle of the night and you're not able to do things on your own anymore, and you still love each other enough to sacrifice everything you have to help them with any task they need, whether that's, you know, taking a shower or going to the bathroom or taking them to a doctor's appointment, making sure they take their medication. Like these things that they're not fun tasks to most people. It's hard work, but that's real love. And that example is so powerful. And I'm so proud of the two of them for what they were able to give us by showing us that. Even up to the very end of her life, she was still worried about Pop-Pop. And she was still asking about him and trying to make sure he was okay and that he would be taken care of, which, of course, he is and he will be. We were able to reassure her. And the whole time, he was by her side, too. It's a really beautiful testimony to what love is and what it can be. So I hope that their story, at least that little bit of their story, can inspire you to love that way in your life and find someone that loves you that much, because that's ultimately what I think you deserve. So just some closing thoughts I have about true love. For a successful long-term relationship, I think sacrifice is not something for us to run away from, but instead something that we should embrace and acknowledge and really value in our partner, whoever they may be, and give them credit for it because they deserve it, and show them how much you care. That's so important. A lot of people do things for us and we don't even realize all that they do until they stop. So I think it's even more important to notice these little things and let them know that you noticed it and that you appreciate it. In our everyday lives, we can express our love in small gestures. It can be little things like making them a cup of tea or cleaning up a room or taking out the trash. It doesn't always have to be a big romantic gesture like a giant, vacation or a bunch of super romantic dates or anything like that. It can be little things because they really do add up and mean a lot. Also, learning the value of patience and compromise is incredibly important. And I feel like they've carried me through a lot of hard times and helped my relationship grow into what it is, into something that I'm really proud of and I hope can inspire other people, especially our nieces and nephews who are watching us this whole time we've been together through the last 8 years, as they learn how to treat other people and they grow into adults themselves. So, in summary, I guess I just really want to thank everybody for sticking around with me through all these crazy episodes and wild times in my life. I can't believe this is the 10th episode of our podcast. It seems like it's starting to fly by now. I'm trying my best to keep up with it. I really want to continue uploading on a weekly basis. I'm thankful to all of our subscribers and our viewers and everyone who's encouraging me and Andy to continue on with this, because I think that it's making whatever little difference I can in the world. I think that's important. As always, please like, comment, and subscribe. If you have any ideas or you have a question or maybe you want some advice about something, feel free to hit me up. You can do that in our email address, CrackensCornerPodcast@gmail.com. And thank you again for tuning in. I hope you have a beautiful week ahead, and I'll see you next week. Bye.